Hey guys, welcome to Mark Remeets World. I'm your host, Mark Levy, and I am so excited to be bringing you guys episode 2 of Mark Remeets World. The response has been strong so far in the episodes that we have launched with the mini episodes and our pilot, and we're just really happy to be here every Monday that we can and to share with you the love of Boy Meets World. Now, before we get started, I want to bring up some Boy Meets World news because there's actually some Boy Meets World news from this week. As you might have heard a long time ago, Trina McGee, who played Angela in the later part of the series, was back in the news because came out because this is the quarantine about the fact that she was called Aunt Jemima 22 years ago on the show Boy Meets World by a cast member. It was finally revealed that it was Will Friedle, who plays Eric, who called her Aunt Jemima. And I found out that he apologized to her back then, and he also re-apologized to her with a three-page letter stating how he has learned a lot and has grown a lot since that time. We all make mistakes in our 20s, and I think it's really nice that Trina McGee and Will Friedle were able to come together in this way and be like, hey, I made a mistake. I apologize. I accept your apology. And that's kind of like what the point of the show is, to become better people. Even though we're adults now, I mean, they were in their 20s when this happened. People in their 20s make mistakes. I'm 34. I make mistakes all the time. It just shows a really beautiful amount of growth and respect. Even back then, like, he did apologize back then, and then he apologized with a long letter saying I'm sorry, and then they had a phone call about this, and they fixed it all, and that's beautiful. I mean, that's where a lot of great things, like, I feel like communications where a lot of the issues in the world happen from, because if we can't communicate, we can't fix things. That's where my brain is on that type of situation. So now we're gonna take a break because you have to pause, you gotta watch the episode if you haven't watched the episode yet of season 1 on the fence. So if you haven't watched it, you can press pause right now. Cool. So we're back. All right. So episode 2 on the fence, which is, I think, one of the first like real key episodes of what the show becomes. One of the things I like about the show is that this episode is that it shows Corey as the schemester that he's going to be for the next few seasons, and the trickster that he's going to become, and how to make money that he is going to become obsessed with. So for the plot of the show of this episode, Corey wants a water gun for Water Wars, but he needs money. Water Wars sounds insane. So, like, the top of the episode, we get to meet our second of the three best friends. That of the third best friend, which I talked about in the third mini episode.
Remember this guy? Yeah, you don't.
His name is Ellis. He's a blurred. He's a big Superman fan, and basically what happens in the top of the episode, they're all talking about Water Wars, and Corey wants to do it, and then basically what happens is people start pulling out their water guns in the school cafeteria, and hilarity ensues. Um, that's the easiest way to put that there. And one of the things that I find so fascinating about it is there's this part where literally everyone pulls a water gun on Corey and shoots him while he's getting water, and then Feeny walks in, and everyone hides their gun. And this is like the thing where I'm like, wow, that's some really amazing directing there on how, like, to stage that and to make it look good. So I'm gonna give a straight up shout out right now to the director of this episode, David Trainer. Um, Also, it made me want to have a Super Soaker again, which I haven't wanted to have since about 1994. I'm a few years younger than the characters on the show. In 1994, I would have been 9 years old, and in the show, they would have been 12, I believe. But it makes me really want to have a Super Soaker. That's what I'm trying to say there. Fun fact, this is the first appearance of Mekas, played by Lee Norris. We're going to be talking about him shortly, so we're going to have this thing called Lee Norris Spotlight, okay? Well, actually, no, we're going to call it the Mekas Minute. I think that's a better thing, because we can talk about Mekas for a minute every time he appears. So, you know what? Let's just go straight to the Mekas Minute right now.
Mekas minute.
Okay, so it's our first appearance of Mekas, as I said, played by Lee Norris. He's a pretty big character in this episode. Poor guy gets squirted in the head like 5 times in the first scene of the episode, and then he comes out for Water Wars in a full-on fisherman attire.
Mekas does not play.
That is gonna be what I want for the for my life. That's how I want my Mekas to be. Full-on fisherman gear. I think it's the funniest thing ever. It's great. And I think Lee Norris does a great job in introing the character. He's in basically all the scenes that Ellis is in. Maybe one more, if I'm not mistaken, but he definitely has a weird third best friend vibe if he was not in the opening credits.
Mekas! Minute.
One of the things I found very, very fascinating is that the water gun that Corey wants is $50. Is that a price that water guns were back in 1993? I don't know. My brain is just baffled by that fact. Also, when we go upstairs to Eric and Corey's room, we see that Eric's new watch he just bought because he made a lot of money with work has a video on it. Like, it's not just a high-tech watch. It's like a early Apple watch of some sort. I don't know. Eric does talk about that he can buy anything but the Buns of Steel video. And when you hear that line, the Buns of Steel video, my brain goes to one of two different directions, honestly. I mean, it does sound like a workout video. He can't buy it, so my brain's like, is it a porno? Or is it a weird workout porno hybrid? Which, I mean, that's definitely a thing even now in 2020. And I imagine it's got to be a thing to a certain extent in 1993. I'm not sure. It is what it is. I also think it's the first time in the whole series that Alan, the father, played by Will Russ, is named, which is pretty fascinating to me. He's only in like 2 scenes in the first episode. He's in a few more here. My brain is trying to process like one specific thing in this episode. One, he's like fixing the sink. Him and Betsy Randall as Amy have this beautiful scene where they're talking about like how life used to be, and I'm starting to wonder if they were actually happy in their crappy old apartment. I think they were. I mean, Alan definitely was. Amy maybe not, but it doesn't matter. In the big school scene this time, Feeney is teaching them the Raven. Was the Raven by Edward Allan Poe like something that was taught in 6th grade? It wasn't taught to me in 6th grade. I know it until like 10th grade. So if we keep on to what the curriculum that Feeney is teaching right now, the Raven and Romeo and Juliet, these are like some advanced kids. I mean, I think Romeo and Juliet could be like 8th or 9th grade, but they're in 6th grade. It's baffling. It's amazing to me that these kids are either super smart or they are actually, or Feeney is just that teacher, which he is kind of that teacher. It's our first appearance of Feeney's Rose Garden, which is mentioned a lot, if I remember correctly, throughout the series. Because like what Corey does in this episode is he paints Feeney's. My God, I can't think of the word. Shutters. He paints his shutters, and he gets paid for it. And so basically, Corey is terrible at math. So like, he supposed to get paid like $80, and he thinks it's gonna be $58. I think this is like the first episode where Ben Savage really clicks. Like, I think he's doing a really good job in the first episode, but the second episode, it's just him driving the action for 22 minutes, and it's great. There's a dated reference that I had to look up in this episode. Earl Shive, I never heard of Earl Scheib. Who the fuck is Earl Scheib? I had to look him up, and I saw that he's a car paint company, which makes total sense because all half the episode's all about painting a fence. Um, yeah, Earl Scheib. What the hell is? I mean, maybe because I never had a car that had to deal with anything, but that's a dated reference. I mean, Earl Scheib. I looked it up. The company has not been around since 2010, which back then I still had a car until about 2009, so I should have heard of Earl Scheib, but I've never heard of Earl Scheib. Earl Scheib. I'm just going to say it one more time. um, if we don't look into what Girl Meets World does with the role of Mekas, there's no way that Mekas does not become the full-on asshole that treats people so poorly that are different than him. Especially like when you see him in his iconic fisherman attire towards the end of the episode. Um, and it's pretty obvious that like, I mean, he's not necessarily an asshole in Girl Meets World. I've not watched enough of Girl Meets World to make that clarification, but Mekas is painted, for lack of a better word, in episode 2 of Boy Meets World to be an asshole. This is the first episode where Alan is seen as a fun dad, and there's this like really beautiful thing in the beginning of the episode, in the first minutes, where they're talking about Superman being possibly a dad, um, and Superman would be a terrible dad, but so would Batman. And my brain's wondering who would be better. I think Batman because he's rich, but that's also not necessarily meaning they're good. But I bring this up now is because the episode ends this really beautiful moment where Corey notices that his dad works like 12 hours a day and then comes home, is a good dad, and then he's like fixing the fence that fixing the fence that Corey kind of ruined. And he's like, my dad is Superman. And then you just start crying one single tear because it's a beautiful moment. And it's like the first time that you actually cry in Boy Meets World. It's great. At the end of the episode, it ends with this awesome, wholesome water fight with the whole family. With everyone has their super soaker type gun out,
Do you remember those wholesome days of family water
and
fights?
it's just awesome. Now, to continue the thing that I started last episode, where we're going to point out that Betsy Randall is the best TV mom of all time, let's do that intro.
A one, two, three, four. Betsy Randall's the best TV mom. Yeah.
All right, so she can be sassy. She has so much love for her family. When she is in the water fight, she uses like the water squirter from the sink, so she's got infinite water. She's such a good heart. Like it's just like there's no better TV mom than her, and it's just an honest to God fact. I think she's amazing, and it makes me really happy. All right, so for the MVP of this episode, it is going to be none other than Mr. Ben Savage. He drives the action. If this episode doesn't work, it is fully on his shoulders. And the first episode is kind of like an ensemble thing. This is the first episode where it's firmly on Ben Savage. And he does such a great job, and it makes me very happy because this is the guy, like me, I'm the guy that wanted to be Ben Savage when I was a kid. I still kind of do. I do kind of remember this episode, but not much. I mainly remember the whole fence painting part from when I was a kid, and a little bit of like the water stuff, but not much. It was really nice. I think it holds up pretty darn well. I think it's a good episode, and it makes me very happy. So yeah, that wraps up this episode. If you want to email the show, be on the show, whatever, markremeetsworld at gmail.com is the best way to reach out to me. You can like us on Facebook. You can subscribe to our videos. I put one out at least every Monday. There might be more because of the whole quarantine. Currently on day 38. Personally, this will be releasing on day 39 for me, that's a whole Survivor season. But there might be more coming this week. I'm not sure yet. We haven't decided yet. But I do thank you so much for listening today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.